How to do lips is today's video. So we're going to focus on just a simple set of lips. Let's start off with a line in the direction that we want the lips to be in. And then let's pick, let's say the corners of the lips are going to be here. And we're going to make it not exactly straightforward, just a little off, just a little bit. So here, we're going to figure that the center of the lips are going to be roughly about here. And this is just an exercise. It's nothing to be exact about, but it's a cool exercise. You know, you don't have to look at a model's lips or anything like that. You can take a picture of your own. Okay, so this is so cool. Look at this. You just kind of like connect the corners, and then here you do this little number, right? Connect those two circles that way. And here on the bottom, we're going to do also a couple of overlap bigger balls like that. All right, and then we're going to connect these like that, and then connect these like that, and then connect these like that. And we are going to have just a slight opening here. And I'm using, by the way, I'm using a hard charcoal pencil. And then here we want to open it up like that. Okay, so this is just an exercise. I also like my lips to have like a little dimple here. So what we're going to start off with is darkening the inside of the mouth. And you can just hit it very nice and light at first, and then you can just do several passes. All right, once I have the basics there, I want to erase some of these lines. And by the way, this is a really cool eraser. It's the kneading kind of eraser. Okay, you get it to where you like it. I like to make a point out of it a lot of times, okay, to get like the fine edges. So here I'm just going to erase some of these circles, some of these lines, and I'm going to continue to work on the lips. So you see it's very simple. Looking at your own lips would be, taking a picture of your own lips would be a fun exercise for anybody to do if you're getting serious about drawing and painting and stuff like that. These are basics, I think. You know, I like creating my own characters. I created all the characters of the book I wrote, which is called Trashy Mermaid and the Plastic Pollution Legacy. And I'll leave a link describing that. Okay. And then here you want to do some simple lines. Like you can do the center almost straight, but we're angling it a little bit that way. Okay. So just a little bit, slightly. So we don't want to make, I mean, if it was straightforward, then you would do a straight line, but you want to keep it just a little bit like those lines kind of like bowing out in that direction, right? So not too much like here. Okay. And then here you still want to have it. All right. You kind of like get a sense out of it. All right. So a little bit of bowing out like that, but the closer you get to the center, a little bit straighter, and then here straighter, and then bowing out in the opposite direction, just a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to, let's go ahead and smudge all of these. And let's erase what we did over here. All right. And we continue. So also, sometimes I need to make a few micro corrections. So I want to expand a little bit on this and just not make it so together, right? So this is my little micro correction. And then here I always see a little bit of this action going on, you know, like both of these areas on the lip kind of like have a couple of balls to me. So I tend to exaggerate that, and you can do that on the other side too, or just simply look at your own lips and see how that goes. But don't get, you know, don't expect to be so perfect. Okay, like have fun with this project. Don't be expecting perfection at first. All right, and then here, like, so if the lip is round, right, then the bottom, of course, is going to have more shading, right, like that. And then the bottom of this round lip is also going to have more shading like that. And then you're going to slightly have a little bit of shading on the inside, especially like the casting the shadow of the overlip onto the underlip, right? And I like making these, kind of like brings a softness to the lips. Okay. So this is pretty much the way I do my doll versions, my dolls for my paintings. I like doing freehand. You can always trace if you feel like it, but I think the exercise of doing freehand drawings goes a long ways, right? All right, so here, now we reinforce again what we were doing here. And I like to just like relax. If you give a little bit more darkness in between the lips so that they're not smacking so hard, but that they have a little bit of distance, like giving the impression that they're slightly open, it's nice because it relaxes all the lips, right? Just by opening, just by making this line a little darker. And so here I come in and I want to smudge that line so it's not a hard line. So it has a little bit of softness there. And I also want to go in this direction. I also want to give a little bit more darkness underneath here. 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 I like to also give a little bit of the darkness from the corners. Okay. And let's reinforce these lines again a little bit. And let's do a little bit of, especially on the bottom half. On the bottom half, I like to reinforce a little bit. So that way it appears that it's curving, right? Okay, one more time, I come here with my cloth. And this is something that you get, like I'll leave it in the description, but you can get this type of material on like your pencil sets. It's a chamoose, or you can also do that with a very soft leather piece. You can also use a cloth. I blow some of the dust off occasionally. It can be a little messy, these charcoals and graphites. You will find that. Okay. Finding a clean part of my cloth. All right. So I just want to smooth out everything here on the edges. And then after I'm happy with that, I come in with my eraser. We can smudge this a little bit more because there's a effect that I like to get with the eraser on the upper lip. And I always think that there's like a little bit of a shadow from the middle of the upper lip, right? So again, I'm going to smooth out these lines. I like to go in the direction of like the wrinkles in the mouth. And just a little bit more here. Okay, so this is what I like doing with the eraser when it comes to this part. Get it into a nice little point. Let me first of all, let me kind of like get things a little bit more smooth around the lips. Okay. I'm going to leave that part. Okay. the last part I want to do is like the highlight of the upper lip. So here we're going to start off with just removing some of the pencil, some of the shading right here on the bottom lip. And maybe I need to pull it up a little bit. When I use this blender, like the lines are softened up, and I like that. Okay, so I want to just get a little bit more of this removed. And now here on the lip, I want to get some lines, kind of like vertical lines. And I keep folding and kneading my eraser, so that way I have a cleaner spot, and I keep making it into a point, right? And you don't want to be like even with your lines. You don't want to be exactly perfect with your lines, with your vertical lines, because it doesn't go like that, you know. It just, like one of these negative spaces is going to be a little longer than the next one. Then you want to have a little bit more distance on the next one, and so on. Don't keep it like so even. Change your strokes a little bit. Okay. And I keep changing the side so that way I have a clean spot. And sometimes I like going over the same spot again, so that way I have a little bit more of this removed. Okay, I think I need to soften a little bit on these edges here. Soften this, there you go. Okay, so now that I have pretty much what I want, I also grab the eraser again. Okay, this is the part that I like, but I think for a little bit more effect, I'm going to smudge the skin tone just a little bit. Okay, so here with the eraser, you grab the corner and you want to just go on the top of the lips, because usually that part of the lips is, it's getting some light, right? It's in the perfect position to get some light. Like that. You want to keep it nice and thin too, very thin. So you have to really make this part very thin too. You see, it's just like a blade. And then I always make sure that these ridges are also highlighted on the top of the peaks of the top lip, right? It's very subtle, but it's there. You don't want to press too hard. Here I'm using this medium one. I just want to darken the corners a little bit more. I want to get this area darker. And again, we just work a little bit of this, the shading right there, to soften it up. All right, let's work a little bit more the highlights here on the bottom lip. Okay, and then let's do the same, like some vertical wrinkle lines, wrinkle highlights on the bottom. And then I have this white pencil, and before you apply the white pencil, you want to make sure it's clean, okay? Because sometimes you may have like a little bit of residue from a charcoal pencil, and then you have like a little gray mark. So here I'm going to do just a few of these lines, like that. and maybe even highlight just a little bit on the top for a little bit more pop. Okay, and then a few of these vertical lines on the top lip. I probably want to exaggerate a few here. And I keep cleaning it like this with my fingers. I'm going to exaggerate one point here, this point. And there you go. There you have it. So I'm also forming the SKOOL, and that is another platform, and I will be giving a lot more information on materials and other tips and tricks of the trade. So if you guys join me, I will have more lengthy videos if you guys are interested on the step-by-step on how I get my dolls. What if I did something like this? And then I came back again. Okay. There you have it. All right. Thank you guys for watching.